Happy Friday, guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Dubs. I'm your host, Bill T. Well, another Friday, another good podcast, and we've got plenty to come for you in just a few minutes. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to make sure you support our sponsors, Ross Wolf, high-quality aftermarket parts built for VW enthusiasts by VW enthusiasts. Why don't you guys go pick yourself up some pretty rad stuff, some of their billet shift rod couplers, or even their stainless steel deck lid hinges. Go check them out at rosswolf.com. And don't forget, VW Trends Magazine. Go subscribe today at vwtrendsmagazine.com, and you get to see a picture of your boy right in the first couple pages. So if you see that picture, go ahead and share it on your social media. Let people know that you're a fan of Let's Talk Dubs, that you listen, and don't forget to share the podcast. We love when you share the podcast because it helps us grow organically. And one of the things coming up I wanted to mention was the Volks Group 2024 event. So these guys are going to be putting on an event Memorial Day. It's called Memorial Day Mayhem, May 24th through the 26th. And that's going to be at Samoa Drag Strip in Eureka, California. So that's going to be May 24th through 26th, the Volks Group event. And then the next one is going to be August 30th through the 1st. That's going to be the Ohana Reunion 2. And that's going to be taking place at the Medford Drag Strip. So that's your Volks Group events that are coming up this year. So make sure you guys mark your calendars, check them out. Who knows? You might see me and George at one of those events. So I hope to get to one of those at some point this year because the old red dragon needs to be cut loose from her barn. So today, on today's podcast, we're going to be doing an update. We're going to review some of the show coming up. We've got Buses by the Bridge just took place. We're headed to Grand National Road Show. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. And we got a little roundtable with me, George T., and even a special guest. So without any further ado, guys, let's get into it. A little bit of roundtable for the kickoff of the show season on this week's Let's Talk Dubs.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like. So if you happen to see a good-looking Volkswagen, don't panic.
George T.,
Bill T.
what up?
Let's do it again. Song's so good I had to hear it twice.
Listen, I got to fix this game. Okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just turning up my volume in my ears. How about that?
There
That's
you
even
go.
better.
Imagine that.
So now, but I'm looking at the monitor and the volume's kind of low, so I'm going to have to edit this before we shoot it out. But nonetheless, we're here, we're in the studio, and we got lots to talk about today. We just wrapped up just recently. There's lots going on in the VW world on our side, some other things that are happening, but the show season pretty much just kicked off with Buses by the Bridge, and that's where you went last weekend, I went last weekend, and you went a little longer than I did.
Yeah, I leave on Thursday.
So you posse down there with the Las Vegas Volkswagen Club. You guys have been going down there how many years? The first year I went was 2003. That's the first year I went.
I think the first year I went was 05.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've been going since 03, then Las Vegas Volkswagen Club has been represented since 03, all the way to 2023. We got a regular spot that we have, and 17 buses on it this year.
Yeah, and the first time that I went down, I went down with me and Scott in the trouble cab, and I was in the Bull Run bus, and before it was the Bull Run bus, and we just kind of parked on it. We got some pictures of the cars on the beach, and then we just literally drove there and back in a day. So
yeah,
and that's typically what I've been doing. A couple years ago, I did camp overnight when I bought a late model bay window, and got to kick it and camp a little bit. It was fun. Last year when I came, I drove the limo bus, and it was raining the whole time while I was there for my visit.
Saturday sucked last year. It rained. We had beautiful weather. So Thursday when I got down there, it was freezing.
Yeah,
it was cold, and we knew that even driving down there it was freezing. Like I had an electric heater blanket in my bus to keep me warm even in the daytime. And then that night it dropped down to the 30s. When you're camping at night, that 30s can get pretty cold. But
yeah,
the rest of the weekend had beautiful weather, great times. Saturday night was beautiful, great turnout. Obviously, that I mean. People were in line the week before, which is insane to me, but they were.
Yeah, it's
I'm spoiled because we have a reserve spot, but we've also been going there before it was the bee's knees. We were going there anyways.
Right
know?
Before it was cool. You're saying you guys were there,
yeah.
And buses by the bridge, it's definitely something like, I know you love going there, camping out, doing all that kind of stuff. And I like to come down for the day to visit. It just kind of depends on my mood. When we had a camper, like if I had a nice outfitted bus, like a camper, I'd have no problem going. But, you know, and also I got so much stuff going on that I just don't normally make the time to go. So I usually just bomb down there a day and back. And so I grab my buddy Mike Kennedy, who tried to drive down the day before, and he had
Popped his motor. Yeah.
He had a vehicle issue. So, and crazy enough, our buddy Chris Vuk was coming back, had a tow bar in the back of his car,
Just
saw
unlocked.
him. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Saw him.
It's awesome.
He actually passed him. And then Chris, just by chance, because Mike was trying to get it running. So Chris called Mike, said, "Hey man, I didn't see you back there. I lost it. Are you doing okay?" He's like, "Well, actually, I just broke down." He's like, "You want me to come back? I'll turn around." So Chris turns around, goes back. And then it's like, by the time he gets back, he's got our buddy Justin on the phone, Beetle Barn, and he's like popping the valve cover off. And he's like, "I'm getting ready to start taking this thing apart." And he's like, "You know what? I'm not going to take it apart. So I take it apart here on the side of the road. This is going to be a whole ordeal if I don't have what I need to fix it. So odds are this is a sign. I'm going to connect to this." Because like, I got my tow bar.
Yep.
He's like, "I'm going to connect to the tow bar." But meanwhile, Chris then had the tow bar, but didn't have a hitch. So he had to drive and go buy $100 hitch at U-Haul, come back, and then they towed it back to Vegas. So, and the funny part is we have this group text going on, and Mike's like, "All right, guys, you know, everybody went down Thursday. Mike was going Friday. I was thinking about going Friday. He's, I'm leaving Friday after work, and like 2:00, he's like, "I'm on my way." So me jokingly, I said, "Sending prayers." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I felt super bad when like 2 hours later, he called and was broke down and
Well, way to jinx it, Bill.
Yeah, and drug it
now we know
back.
why it happened.
So then
Not a mechanical failure.
So then I hit, I was voodoo. So
Bill's will.
Then I called him and I said, "Dude, what's going on? What's happening with your bus?" He's like, "Oh, I think it's this or that." And I said, "Well, I'm thinking about going tomorrow. You want to just roll with me?" He's like, and then Mike's one of our boys. You know, we all have that friend that's into VWs with you way back in the day. They get back in when everybody gets back in, and then things happen. Their car breaks down or whatever. Then they kind of go on a hiatus for a little bit. But they still got their VW, and they're still one of the homies. So Mike's one of those guys. And then Mike finally just got his car dusted off and was headed back down there, and then has this little snafu. So it was good because got to ride down with Mike. We just kind of talked the whole way down, hung out, which is kind of my favorite thing, just hanging out with one of my buddies. I haven't seen him forever. And we just drive down there. Went there. Let's see. We left here at about 7:30 in the morning. And if I've got a little YouTube video on my YouTube channel, you guys can go check out some of the details on that stuff. We left here about 7:30 in the morning, and then rolled out to, made it pretty good. No problem. Shot, we go from here to Searchlight, and then Searchlight to the 40, and then down to Havasu. Pretty uneventful. The bus was humming, dude. I mean, we got, if you go to George's YouTube channel, you'll see how our buses cruise. And when we tell people our buses cruise at 70, like, we're big motors, tall gears, and they're built to run. So
I think a lot of our stability also comes from having 17-inch 7 and bigger wheels on them.
Yeah.
The lower profile, you don't get that same swaying other cars do.
Yeah.
Because I was even watching when Sean, in my video, you'll see Sean is towing a puck, and he's got the 17.7s on his bus, and the puck's going nuts. And that bus is like a rock in front of it, just stable as could be. I think a lot of it has to do with our wheel selections on our car, because like when Dunkel had his full size single cab with the big all trains on it, he could hang with us because he got a new gearbox.
But he's all over the road.
But he's just all over the road. No matter what you did for alignment, he's got these freaking 6-inch, 7-inch tall sidewalls, and the thing's just swaying like a freaking tree.
Well, yeah, it's what it is the aerodynamics, and
yeah.
The aerodynamics of a bus, contrary to what people believe, is super. It's shaped like a wing. The front top of it's curved.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom's flat, just like an airplane wing. And if you get enough air underneath it, the thing just starts to drift, which is why, I don't know if he's got sway bars on his, but they did make an air dam for a bus that kind of pushed the front end down a little bit. But yeah, it's
get some splitters, make it look. I do want to do splitters on the front of my bumper, like some cool ones on the corners.
Well, let's just settle down, dude.
That kind of speed I need it for the stability.
I'll have
some
to
aero.
I'll have to approve the rough
some
draft.
Functioning aero.
I'll have to approve the rough draft.
So bus kicked butt is all I got to say.
So I went down and hung out for the day, kind of cruised a swap meet, shot a little bit of video. And I actually, the deal of the day, like, I went down there. I always bring a little bit of money in case I see something I have to have. And usually there's never anything I have to have. And I was walking through the swap meet, and then this dude is selling an air conditioning kit he pulled out of a bug. And those new AC kits are like $2,500, $2,000, $2,500, somewhere around that. Not that I need one or had a plan to put one on a car, but I happened to be at Irwindale back in October, I think it was. So I was down at Irwindale at the Bug-In, walking around. The guy's got a whole Type 3 AC set up out there, and he went through this whole process of building everything. And he says, and I'm just, I'm sometimes just window shopping. I'm like, what do you want for the AC blower for the Type 3? And he says, $25. And I'm like, $25, bro. I'm like, he's like, and it comes with the pulley, the bracket, and whatever to put on your Type 3 motor. And I'm like, that's the last thing I needed was that to be that cheap, because now I'm just going to buy it. So I bought that, brought it back here. And then funny enough, I'm at Buses, and that guy's got that setup out there for sale. And it's a new Gilmore setup. And the guy's asking $250 for it. And I was like, man, that's cheap. And so I looked at him walking through, and if you listen to my video, and it sounds kind of rude because I listened to myself, I was like, it sounds kind of rude to like if you don't know kind of my demeanor. But I just said, well, I don't really want it, but if I'm coming back through and I've got $200, if you want to get rid of it, I'll take it for $200, but I don't really need it. You know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of saying, I'm not like, this is purely an impulse buy. And so he was like, for $200, I will walk it over to your car. So he loads it up and walks it over and loads it in my car. And now I got an AC. Now I got one more thing in the garage, dude. Perfect. One more thing. Actually, I got 50 more things. But so I just did that, hung out for a little bit, and then hit the road. Probably got on the road about 2 o'clock, about 3 o'clock, and I made it home by 5. So left here by 7:38, got home by 5 p.m. So, but you were down there, and you just swapped your trans. If you guys are following George's YouTube channel, he just did
I just did an iris conversion. It's actually the same gearbox. I just changed my differential and my side plates. So all the gearing stack of it was built by Artigas transaxles, and I had a Hansen transaxle install a Artigas transaxle supplied Weddell Super Diff for IRS, and Old Speed supplied side covers, and did the whole dub fab suspension conversion on it, and it's night and day difference.
Do you what is the biggest difference you feel? 'Cause I'm a little
just the
suspect.
stability. The stability of the car is insane. Like, I also really upgraded my shocks to a very nice Fox Ride-Tech shock, and that made a huge difference in just the recovery, especially like we go the Kingman way, and the Kingman way is known for just trash roads, and they are, but we would hit those, and you feel the car do the shimmy, and it just corrects right away, as opposed to before it'd be like you're getting a little bit of that linger afterwards after you hit those dips,
right?
And it just feels better. It just feels a world better.
So we did that. So obviously you're busted great down there. You had a good time. You're there for the whole weekend. There was one situation where there's a guy passed away that was down there, and this guy,
he drove like a school bus that had like a Westie attached to the top of it. I think the gentleman's name was Randy. Am I correct in that?
I'm gonna get you all the information in just 2 seconds, because that's what.
But the gentleman was in hospice care and decided to go down to Buses, which I think is pretty dang cool. Like, he just wanted to go one more time. Obviously, he knew he was going to pass.
Yeah, he was kind of rounding out the end of his life. He was in hospice and decided, before he goes, he wanted to hit Buses by the bridge one last time. And the ad was in a copy of the paper down there, and it says, "Friends bring terminally ill man to Havasu for final appearance at VW bus event." And so he had a modified 94 Bluebird American bus with that other bus grafted on top.
It's like a Westie on top of it, like a bay window.
Let's see. What is his name?
I think it's pretty beautiful. Good on him on that, If it's what he was passionate about and what he loved, much better than just like chilling in a room somewhere waiting to die.
Yeah, so Randy Crowley was his name. So Randy
Shout
Crowley.
Out to Randy. R.I.P. on that one, brother.
Yeah, so let's see what it says here. Yeah, so it's like it was crazy because it's like the last day that he was there, like he got down there. I think they said he had got out and got by the water, and then got back in his bus later and just kind of passed away in his sleep. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, but it's what's crazy because it's like such a, the bus thing is such a like a community, right? I mean, there's just there's all the different types of people. It's kind of like high school, right? There's a bunch of different types of people, but they're all there. It's kind of a same class, if you will, of people. But it's
do these buses have been hanging out with each other forever.
Yeah.
Think about it, because in the 60s, like the hippies owned them back then for being hippies. In the 80s and 90s, all the deadheads had them, and all these buses were hanging out together. And now they've been dispersed into, back into the wild, and they still congregate.
Yeah.
Like people still bring them all together all the time. It's kind of nuts.
It's a cool hangout. I mean, we've been the one I haven't done that buses and balloons. It's in
I haven't done
Albuquerque, but I've been at Albuquerque. I've been to New Mexico, and it's
New Mexico's beautiful.
It's a serious drive.
It's a drive.
So,
but I thought that was some of our coolest scenery when we did Bull Run, like going through New Mexico and climbing them hills. Like, it was beautiful there.
We were cruising up through these hills like 10,000 feet, and it was pretty wild. But we've got so this officially kicks off the show season, and so there's going to be some shows coming up. We've got Octo
next week is Grand National Road Show in Octo.
Correct.
Plus in the weekend of the February 3rd.
And now, and right now, I'm going to bring our special guest on. I'll give him a buzz here, and he should be on standby with his phone, ready for pickup there.
Yo.
Hello, Bob Daniels.
Hello, Bill T.
All
What's
right,
going on?
Bob Daniels, welcome to the show.
Hello, Bob.
So I'm live. What a surprise!
Well, there is no prize.
Oh,
There's
my.
a surprise! Yeah, there you go. So, actually, Bob's going to be joining us. So you guys may know Bob from the Custom VWs of the 80s and 90s. That's the title, right? Custom VWs 80s and 90s.
Yes.
And that's Facebook page.
I didn't get real creative there.
Yeah, super deep with the name. No, it's good. It's real specific and tells you exactly what it's about. So
yeah,
covers all bases.
But so Bob's going to be with us next week so Bob's flying here because Bob, like me, is also into other cars, hot rods and stuff like that. And we had a good time a couple of years ago at the Grand. I think it was 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Two.
At the Grand National.
So I've been every year since. But yeah, that was our deal was 2 years ago, and then I went last year also.
So it was 2022 when we went then. So in 2022 they had VWs in Building 9, and Building 9 is usually like the special display building. So that's when we kind of had this whole thing, and we rented a house. It was me, Brent, Bob, and Tori Alonso, and it was pretty fun. We had a good time. I mean, I think we had a good time, right? And so.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't in that house. You must have had a really good time because you don't remember that I wasn't there.
No, I remember. Well, I remember you were there at the show. You just weren't staying with us. You weren't staying with us, right? Yeah. So, and Tori Alonso, Johnny Knoxville, because he looks just like Johnny. If you guys haven't seen him, he looks just like Johnny Knoxville. But
I don't get that.
No, he's there, bro. You better look him up.
I don't get the Tori Alonso.
But yeah, so it felt like you were there because the time I spent with you just seemed to drag on forever. But either way.
Well, plus my dad sat at your table while you guys did like 10 podcasts.
Yeah. I dig it. He's like, I need to sit down, and I don't even care if these guys are doing a podcast. I was like, have a seat, Dad.
This guy never shuts up. This one over here with the microphone.
So, Bob, you're actually flying to Vegas next Thursday. Next Thursday, and then we're gonna
staying at the beautiful Orleans Hotel.
Nice.
That's right.
Keeping it real. And prepping for one crazy weekend.
That's right. He's doing a dry run.
Speaking of one crazy weekend, October 3rd through the 5th in Las Vegas, Nevada at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. Crazy weekend.
That's right.
Friday meet and greet. Saturday car show. Saturday night, the world famous LTD poker run with $2,000 in cash prizes.
Actually,
come all.
Actually, last year we gave away $2,500.
There you go. See,
this year I want to give away $3,000.
What?
And I'm just trying to figure out more ridiculous ways to make money where anybody could win it. But I've got to come up with something
except for me and my wife.
Yeah, George is like, you can't win the money. You can let your wife play. I'm okay with her playing. I'm going to tell her she can get a chance to win the money.
Not a chance.
She can get a chance to win the money. So either way, so you're coming down. We're hopping in my bus, and we're going to drive down. So George is going with us now because George and Eric
Black and I will be. We're going on our buses to go to Octo, and
I've convinced them to
willing to go a little early. Yeah,
to leave early Friday morning and drive down with us to the Roadster show, and go hang out over there. So
what are you guys driving?
We're driving the double cab.
Okay, so you're taking a Volkswagen too. Okay,
yeah,
and then you're going to do Octo also.
Yeah. I'm going to do
Saturday.
Yeah, so I'm driving the double cab.
Okay.
I'm
All
probably
right.
Bob. I'm dropping you off at the.
I didn't know anything. I didn't know what we're taking, but now that's nice. I like that we're taking a double cab.
Well, I share that now, but it's a little cold. I mean,
Yeah.
it's no
you'll be
Maserati
fine, bro.
or whatever you got, but Aston Martin, whatever. But,
Aston Martin.
yeah.
Let's
but-
get it straight.
Yeah. So, but we're going to be going down in that and then hanging out at the Roadster show for the day and then Octo the next day. So, and then turn right around and come straight back. So we'll come back on.
Does
Well, I'm
Buddy get
staying there.
preferential treatment since he's already had a car there? Like,
Who?
is Buddy? Like for the car they're taking?
No,
to-
actually, Buddy's going to be debuting Wayne's car, which is super sick.
Yeah.
You've been seeing the car he's been working on. So I'm excited to see that.
How that works is because I just did all his banners and backdrops for that.
Mhm.
He basically has for lack of a better term, a trade show booth. But what people probably spectators don't realize is some of those cars in those quote unquote trade show booths
Mhm.
are part of the show. So that 68 that he's building is in the show, but it will be in his booth.
Very cool.
You follow what I'm saying? Like it'll
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
judged vehicle, but it's in his booth.
Yep.
Nice. Well, it should be interesting to, and I'll probably wrap with Buddy before they head down there and do that. See if there's anything I can do to help him out. But
Yeah, I think it's sick. I'm stoked for him. I'm stoked for Wayne too. That's gonna be a sick ride.
yeah, Wayne's been waiting a long time, bro.
Yeah.
So.
Hey, to take time.
Well,
Cars
no,
take
no,
time to
wait as
build.
long as Bill.
Well,
though.
what I'm saying is he's been waiting. He's been waiting long from the standpoint of like he started the car with the build going one direction and
Yeah.
then switched gears altogether. So
I know. I was just breaking your balls.
Oh, no, no,
You know,
yeah,
You've been waiting what, 20 years?
Wayne
20 years on that white
Wayne,
car?
I don't want to talk
Wayne
about it.
approached me about building that car, and then as soon as he mentioned that, well, I also talked to Buddy. I said, if you're even in Buddy Hale's conversation, I said, and you can get in his shop, get in there. I said, that's way different. Yes, get in there, please.
I don't know if he should be mad at you or happy or what.
I'm stoked for him. I couldn't have built what they built there. I don't got that. I mean,
No,
I don't have
it's-
that skill set. Those guys, they're next level, and people need to give them props on that.
Yeah.
That shop is putting VWs on the map.
It's a rad car. I'm looking forward to seeing it. So, but either way, so that's the Roadster show coming up, and
And
then
then Octo,
Octo. What's the next show after that?
Silverado, I think in March,
So is it
February,
Silver
March. Yeah, I think Silverado's in March.
And-
On the East Coast, there's I guess it's like 2 weeks from now, maybe 3 weeks from
yeah,
now.
Bob, you're
I
supposed
guess
to
3
represent
weeks
the
from
whole East Coast. What's going on with you, dude?
Look, 3
What
weeks.
is
3
it?
weeks from now is this. It's the what do they call it? Winter Volksfest. It's an all indoor show in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Nice indoor. That's
It's the
cool.
one. It's Kathy Jacobs. She puts on that. You probably heard of like Fast Times at Farmington.
Yeah.
So the same lady who promotes that show does this show, and it was small for years, and basically it was just maxed out because they didn't have, the venue was just so big, so they only allowed so many cars in. But now they got a bigger venue. I think I might take a ride down and see it because it's like an 8-hour drive.
Yeah, the Winter Volksfest, that's happening February 24th in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Just indoor. That's super cool. I like that.
Yeah, it's all indoor. It's an excuse to go do something in the wintertime.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then after that, the next event after that is going to be Hot BW's Drag Day in Irwindale, March 10th.
So, Bob, I got a question for you. How are the East Coast shows back there? Like when you go, what's the attendance like?
It's hit or miss. I mean, it depends. Like there's some shows, and in my opinion, you just don't miss.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some that are like, I don't know. There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
I even think that it's like, we talked about. I've talked about it ad nauseum sometimes with, SoCal VW week. Well, now it's like SoCal VW month.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
it's almost so watered down now.
it does. It
You know,
affects it.
The 80s and 90s page, like that's what my focus is. But like when you go back to those shows, back to that era, there was like a big show every month. Well, now like around here, it's like a whole bunch of little shows, and it's like, it's like, okay, well, if I don't go to this one, I'll go to the next one. So
Yeah.
then if everybody has that mentality,
It dilutes it.
but there are some big ones. The Junebug, which is held at Maple Grove Raceway, that's a big one that usually gets 300-400 cars.
Nice.
And then this Winter Volksfest, I mean, it's turning out to be something worth going to. It is an indoor show. It's it's not, there's not going to be 500 cars there, but it's cool. It's a cool thing. You know, if you're talking about the whole East Coast, hands down, the biggest one out here is the Florida Bug Jam.
Yeah.
You know,
We really need to make it out for that, Bill. We should really plan that.
I'm all
What
about
time
it.
of year
I'm
is
all about
that? What time of year is that, Bob?
that is, it's like Veterans Weekend. So it's like November, like the first or second weekend in November.
Okay. Yeah,
Like it's right around Veterans
so it's
Day
right
or
about
something like
after
that.
one crazy weekend, then we'd have Octo, and then right after that would be the Florida.
Yeah. No, I've been wanting to go to Florida.
That's why I didn't. Last year was the first year I missed the Florida Bug Jam in, I don't know, years, because I came to Octo, or not Octo. I came to, you know, one crazy weekend.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, now I'm going away again. You know.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose. You got to pick and choose sometimes.
Yeah, I think I like to do that show. The most practical thing is to fly out and go check out the show, but it really, I'd love to do a road trip cross country and just go do it. It's a pretty
Well, it's a 3-day drive
pretty
across
big deal.
drive across the country. 3 to 4 days potentially, and you put in a Volkswagen, it's going to probably stretch out to 4 to 5 days.
You got, look. I know you guys love driving your Volkswagens. Put them in a trailer. Put them on a trailer.
That's a long.
And take a nice. Take a truck that you can hammer down at 80 across the great nation of ours with air conditioning and Bluetooth.
Yeah, we can hammer down 80 in our buses too, though.
Yeah, but listen, I'm not arguing with you, Bob. I like the enjoyment of.
Yeah, then you got a truck and trailer though. There's like another impedance there.
Nah, it's not an impedance, bro. It's luxury, and I mean, I don't need my road stripes, bro. I just need my.
Well, if we tow something, we're taking my bus.
What?
If we tow something, we're taking my bus.
I got a trailer that takes both. That's how I
Because
roll.
I mean, I got it in my head that I'm bringing a car to you guys for next year's One Crazy Weekend. But
yeah,
you know,
what's the problem with that?
What's the problem with that?
Because Bob, when you go to VW events, you want to have your Volkswagen. Like when you go to a
There's
VW
no doubt
event,
about it.
yeah.
It's just the penny wise pound foolish in me. It's like, oh my gosh, I can fly there in 5 hours for less than $200 round trip.
Yep.
Or I can spend $2,000 in I can spend $2,000 in fuel and drive 6 days.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing? But
yeah, but unless something really crazy happens on that plane, you ain't gonna have a story about it. You'll have a story about that
you're
drive
right.
home.
I mean, maybe the door will blow off like that Australian Air or whatever.
We could only hope, huh?
That was I think it was Alaskan Air, wasn't the door flew off?
Alaskan Air. No, Australian, of course.
What, and how far is that drive for you from Pennsylvania?
From Pennsylvania to Florida. Yeah, how long is that?
Oh, if Florida was California, I'd be there every weekend.
Yeah.
I can make it from here to the top of Florida in about 12 hours.
And then you'd solve all Florida.
So to get to, so like it's like a perfect drive. I mean, you know, us old, like I used to do it straight through, no problem, all the way to Key West. But now
you're an old man.
Right, exactly. So now you leave at 3:00 in the afternoon. You get to the Florida border. You pull over. You sleep in a truck for a couple hours, and then you motor on. And by lunchtime, you're over at the you're over on the west coast of Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I actually do have a car that's being done up in Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah.
And I could grab that car. I just had the 1600 rebuilt, that 1600 dual carb, single port motor.
Wait, is that car blue?
Yep. And
I didn't know that was still on. I thought that ship sailed.
When you say that ship sailed, you mean I bought that car? Yeah. I bought the car, and I didn't want
realize that you actually. I didn't realize you actually pulled the trigger on that.
Yeah, I know. I bought it. Yeah.
Because I saw he posted something up the other day.
Yeah. So maybe we'll fly out, grab that car, and drive down with Bob. You towing yours down, Bob?
When you go to Florida, you actually take a car with you, or you fly out there?
Sometimes I take a car. Sometimes the last time I went down, I drove my truck. I went to the Bug Jam. I left and I drove to Houston, which is like driving from here to
that's out there.
It's like all the way around. And that's when I got the Asta. I actually went and rented a U-Haul and drove it home.
Nice.
Or trailered it home.
Yeah.
But I've taken cars there and I've not taken cars there. It's
Well, if
like
we were
flying
to-
to Vegas. It's like I can fly to Orlando
Mm-hmm.
for like, $100 round trip.
Right.
So it's like you get there and you're like, how much do I really need the car down there?
Yeah. No, I hear it's cheaper than buying the new underwear you're going to ruin on the trip, bro. I can totally get it.
Right.
Totally get
I mean,
it. Would that stop you in your tracks? That great joke.
So
no,
Bill
didn't
T.
stop me.
Bill T had a segment idea.
Oh no, this is my segment idea. My segment idea right here that's going to be happening is what happened. What happened back when?
What do you mean? What happened back when? What is this?
Well,
So he's gonna basically-
38 years ago. 38 years
Oh,
ago.
that.
38 years ago on January, something significant happened in the Volkswagen world, and that significance that took place 1985 January. Both issues, Hot VWs and VW Trans, got hoodwinked by a guy named Randy Zeleny, and he had a chopped pink 65 bug convertible, and I thought it was a Carson top, but the actual picture shows it's an actual functioning convertible. At least the cover
Right.
of Hot VWs does. And
With no back window.
correct, yeah, they didn't want to pay to do that, and still never got it because that car recently came up for sale. But part of the story on it was from my podcast that I did with RK Smith. Is I said, wasn't there a car? Because there was the big rivalry between Hot VWs and VW Trends back in the day, and I said, there was always the rivalry who could get the car first, and this guy had been less than honest with both magazines and told them that he was only shooting it for their magazines, and both these guys came out with this car on the cover the same issue, same month. So and then RK told me that after that he wouldn't shoot any more of his stuff, which was for Hot VW's magazine. They weren't going to shoot him anymore ever again because of that little stunt that he pulled. So and recently this car popped up on your site, actually not recently, but in November of 2022, the car went up for sale right before. What's the story of this car?
It went up for Randy from Old Bug had it listed on 8, but the deal was you had to buy a pair. There was the pink chop convertible, and then there was also a turquoise blue fenderless high boy style street rod, Volks rod, whatever you want to call it. That you had to buy the pair of them.
Right.
And so ultimately it did pop up on my site because the guy who bought it, I believe, was in Arkansas, because there was this little shop that was getting that thing sort of roadworthy, because based on the pictures, those cars really weren't driven much since their heyday. So that car was, I remember they took had a selected drop front end that they took off and put on a newer style beam on it and stuff. But that popped up for sale. So they did sell, and they're somewhere in the Midwest. I think Arkansas is where it is.
Yeah. And so, but that car was kind of drug out of wherever it was, and and was it the same? Was that Randy was still the same owner of it the whole time, all these years?
Yes, I believe so. Yes.
And I think somebody said that they were trying to sell it for $38,000 or something crazy like that. Because I think Tori was.
Oh no, it was $54,000 for the pair.
Yeah.
It's on Randy. I just pulled it up on Randy's site.
I'm on Randy's site.
$54,000 for the pair. Because you brought Tori up. Tori did try to buy that car,
right?
And we had pictures of it before it was really for sale. And he did. I think it was I think he wanted $30,000 for 30,000 plus or something for the pink one by itself. But then it was listed on Randy's Old Bug for $54,000 for the pair. Now what they sold for, I have no idea.
Was it that clean? Was it that clean to try and get that kind of money? Was it built that nice?
No.
Because
most
of these cars weren't.
It might have been back in the day, but no. I mean, look,
it was an 80s build. So that means carpets glued over the original paint on the hood.
Yeah.
It's not like that bad 55 up there in Canada. You know what I'm talking about for sale on Randy's site? So bad 55 was.
Oh, yeah. That's
it's all black, and it's got this pink and blue graphic down the side, but literally the entire undercarriage is pink and chrome and like full on show car. And and it car, still looks as good as it did then.
That car is originally from Canada, that 55?
I don't know if it was originally from Canada, but it was built up in Vancouver, I think is where it is, or I don't know what. I know the United States. I don't know what's on the left side of Canada, but it's up there somewhere.
British Columbia, yeah, no.
But yeah, that's where that car is.
Yeah, so 38 years ago this month, that car had kind of wrecked both magazines. And so since we're kind of doing a little time lapse back in the day, we're gonna play a little game I came up with, which I thought would be kind of cool. It would be guess the price of the part. And so you guys know the price of parts now. I mean, Bob doesn't because he just puts everything on a credit card. But let's see.
That's how us rich folks live.
Correct. Yeah. So my
car is not at Buddy Hale shop, so let's not even start.
Hey, calm down. So I'm going to go through a couple things that are for sale in the 1985 issue of Hot VWs here. And the first thing that I'm going to ask you is there's a set of heads that are for sale, which are like the ultimate racing heads. And they're from Small Car Specialties, right? So they're top of the line racing heads, huge valves, 40 by 35.5, full port and polish jobs. So these are the stage SDS3, I think they called them. And what do you think a set of those 40 by 35.5 fully polished and ported heads sell for?
And this is in 1985?
1985. What would you have to pay for a pair?
I'm going to say $200 each, so $400 for the set.
So you're saying $400?
I was going to say $500 for the set.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder why you guys were never fast in the 80s, because that set was $600.
Well, we weren't far off either.
So, yeah. Well, you're quite a bit. You're 50% off. I mean, you're $200 off, and $400 divided by 2 is $200. So
I was at 5.
Right.
So
you're like 20%.
Yeah. I was the closest without going over.
Well, yeah. No, you guys are 30% shy on the number.
So if they're $600, and then
now if you pump those through the inflation calculator, right? Those heads would cost you the equivalent in today's dollars of $1,700 for that set of heads. Now, based on that, we're going to compare them to what we're talking performance now, guys. So you guys you're a little out of school.
So if
is a performance set of like the top line racing heads, which would be, we're just going to call them the competition eliminators at CB Performance today.
Mm-hmm.
What is a set of those heads run?
$2,000.
Bob?
Oh, I bet you it's more than that. I'll bet you it's $1,500 a head, if not more.
So you're saying 3,000, George saying 2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the price on those heads is $2,700 for comp eliminator heads. And that would be with, they're a little bit than 40, 30 by 5. These,
I was going to say, when
the ones I picked
40,
were 45,
and I'm
we're talking,
a set of Panchitos, $900.
It's almost 40 years old. We're not saying the equivalent. This at the time was a top of the line racing head.
Mm-hmm.
So we're comparing like the best to the best on this level. I know there's someone's gonna say, "Oh, Bill, they make these heads and those heads," but that's not where we're going. So that's where we're at. So now the next question: What was a single Michelin 135 selling for?
It's so funny. I was going to tell you, look up what it cost to throw a 135.
When I bought Rag Chop, I have an original set of Michelin 165s, never been mounted, dude, in the garage. Those might go on eBay. NOS.
I want to say they're 55.
I know that they're not. I know that they're not that expensive today. Yeah. Like all things considered, like you could buy a 135. You should be able to buy a 135 around $100,
right?
$120. So I'm going to say they were probably, I don't know, what, a $35 tire.
I was thinking 35 or 55, somewhere in that range right there.
Well, in 1985, a Michelin 135 was $31.95 through Barrett Enterprises, and a 155, or let's just say a 165 for doing the staggered set. For the rear, it's going to cost you $56.95. $57 for the back tire.
Actually, more expensive.
$32 for the front tire. That $32.
Imagine if you went the latest Rage. Remember latest Rage? They had there's 8 pages in the back of the magazine. It was always everything, and they were always cheaper than everybody else.
That's right. And that $32 back then is today $90.62 based on inflation.
And so what is it?
So that's about right.
You can't even get Michelin's.
So I don't even,
because I know, because I think I run Firestones.
Yeah, I was going to say the Firestones from Summit would be the equivalent of it. The 135s from there.
Yeah, and I think I paid like $120 or $130 a piece for my Firestones I got them from Coker.
Okay, you got yours from Coker, but we get them here from Summit because Summit's in Nevada, so they'll get them next day. So they sell the Firestones for the rears and the fronts, and that's where I refer people to get them from is Summit Racing.
So and that's for what?
For a 560? Is that what it's called? A Firestone 560 or something like that?
Yeah, it's something like that. And then the back, because I always put Firestones back there too. But
I don't like to mix brands when I build cars. I like to have same brand front and rear tires.
Right.
Always drives me crazy when I see mismatched tires on a car.
Well, when you're running a K-Max or Nang Kang back in the day, I had them.
Yeah.
Don't get mad about some Ling Longs, bro.
Nang Kangs. Nang Kangs still rock it, dude. They're still out there.
My Doom buggy still has the Nang Kangs when I put them on in the 90s.
There you go. Still rocking.
There's no weight in the front of that Doom buggy. There's not even a gas tank up front, so they literally have no wear on them. They still nubs on them.
All right.
They still have no traction either. 135s.
And so the next item we're going to play Guess the Price on. In 1985, what was the price on an Impy style 5-spoke?
$89.
And you're saying in 1985. Bob?
Yeah, he's probably right. I mean, I was going to say probably around $75, $80.
So you go with 75. I'll go with 89.
The price in 1985 was $49.50.
Wow, that was way off. Oh, I could have bought 2 for almost dang.
49. No, you couldn't, because that $49.50, it was the equivalent. What it would cost you today, it's $140. So now the real question is, what does one 5-spoke cost right now? An Impy style 5-spoke from CIP1 is $127 for that wheel. So the wheel is technically cheaper today than it was back then
when adjusted for inflation.
Yeah. So,
but the irony is are we talking polished to polished, or are we talking?
No. This is just like a raw finish or
okay.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah. Don't worry.
For $49, I don't think anybody was polishing that.
Don't worry, Bob. I know how to do this. I'm a professional.
To talk about prices, what I do find interesting is that your MP5 spokes are, you just did it for inflation, relatively the same price.
Yep.
The cost of the fake,
they're actually cheaper now.
Fuchs, the fake Fuchs are so expensive compared to everything else.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, it
like
depends.
$2,000 for a set of them.
Hold on.
It's insane.
Let me see this here because I'm on.
All right, you're referring to when you're saying that like a detailed set, like a nice set, or you're just talking about when you go to order them online?
No, I'm just saying like the wheel itself.
Yeah.
So, a set of fake Fuchs on 911 style 5x130, 15 by 5.5. They are $139, but they're the ACC brand, so the spoke's a little. It's kind of square. I want to say it's a little square. It's kind of lacking in detail. I don't really see a set that I would buy. And so they're like $160 a set, or $160 per wheel.
So the 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
The 4.5 911 style 5x130 on CIP1, $249 for that wheel in chrome.
Wow,
that's a lot of money for a wheel.
That is.
I mean, it's not a lot of money for a wheel. It's a lot of money when you compare it to what else.
Bro, I think you're getting jacked on the East Coast, dude. I'm looking at the same website, CIP1's website. I see the same wheel. It's an ACC air cooled whatever.
And is it chromed?
Well, this is
I got 137
This
over
is-
here, bro. Oh, fully polished. I take it back. Fully polished. Fully chrome, 249.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Chrome.
hold on. George has a story about chrome just recently, bro. So
Oh.
I think you need to tell your chrome story, bro.
Well, we took a bumper down a couple years ago.
This is going to be Bob. Guess how much it costs to chrome a bus
Yeah,
bumper. Just
so-
get Bob.
So we took a 66 front bumper to get chromed.
Just the blade.
Just the blade.
Just the tip. I mean, the blade.
And when we got it back, it did not fit
Because
the
it was,
front
hold
profile.
on. It was a little bit bent.
Yep.
So
Like I said, not a problem. We can straighten
the
it.
guy's like, we got a buck in here. We just lay it up on there.
And you
get
saw
it
that chrome
all
on it.
dialed in. Well,
That
it's in
chrome
here.
looks amazing. The chrome's beautiful.
That's all right.
It doesn't fit the car. It has the wrong radius of a bus. And when we called to complain about it, the guy said it was built off of my jig that fits 66 buses. And we said, doesn't fit this 66. Or the other two we tried it on. Because after it didn't fit, we were like, let's try another car to make sure your car ain't out of whack.
Like, make sure his car
Yeah.
didn't get T-boned. It was half
Yeah,
built
like
out of
something,
Bondo.
you never know.
It didn't get Brazilian.
Yeah. And it didn't.
All right, so Bob, so guess how much it would cost you. You go there, you show up in your Aston Martin.
Southern California.
Southern California. You show up in the Aston Martin, hatches open like white trash style because you try to fit a bus bumper in there. You go, and it's a little
Well,
knurled
strap
up.
it to the roof. Come on, what are you talking
It's a little knurled up
to the roof.
because you broke down and got towed home in your Aston Martin and wrapped the rope around the bumper. So it needs a little bit of ting-tinging on it and then get chromed. What do you think it would cost you to chrome one bumper blade for a bus and straighten the bumper out?
I am.
Yeah, I need
don't
a
have
price,
clue.
Bob. I can't have you quit on me, man. I need a
$3
price.
grand.
Okay, but come on, bro. Let's what
Well,
would you
you
really
guessed
think it
$3
would
grand.
cost?
It was $2,200,
Yeah,
Bob.
bro.
It was insane. And I thought it was insane.
$2,200
For a blade.
to chrome.
You had me shooting high because
Yeah,
you're
because of
you're
Bill.
kind of talking it
No, I
up,
put
you know.
pressure on you, bro, and you cracked under pressure, bro. You threw out outrageous price out there, which made our
I
outrageous
didn't throw an
price
outrageous
not
price.
seem so
Apparently, it wasn't too
outrageous.
far off of what you paid.
Yeah,
That's
$2,200.
outrageous.
And it didn't fit. No discount was given because it doesn't fit. They said we're in the wrong. Couldn't believe it. So this bumper now sits in my shop.
Maybe the bus you're putting it on is tweaked.
I said we tried it on 3 of them. I got plenty of buses we sit there and play musical bumpers with.
I took, when I had the Bull Run bus done, I had the original bumpers re-chromed, and then I grabbed a 68 rear bumper because this being Vegas, people always take the back bumper, wrap a rope around it, and tow stuff with it, and it was all sandwiched and knurled in and all this stuff. So I took a 68 bumper that was nice, and I said, just drill the holes for the overriders in the 68 bumper and chrome that. When I came to pick my bumpers up, they had straightened my rear bumper like flawlessly and re-chromed it, and it was the original bumper of the car. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I got that, and then it's dead nut straight. I mean, they did it.
Yeah, I didn't
and
try your
can't
back
remember.
bumper.
I can't remember what I paid, but I also did that in 2003, and I used APS, which they're out of business here,
Yeah.
and they'd be kind of people that would just lose your stuff.
So what brought this up was I have that bumper in my shop now because my friend obviously had another bumper made for his bus, and I'm trying to make a proper bumper for the 67 I'm working on right now. So I traced Bill's bumper, which he has a beautiful 67 front bumper, and I was like, I'm comparing all the cores I have there, and that chrome one is the best looking core I have and is the furthest off from even the smashed up bumpers from what I have. Their jig is so wrong wherever we had that made at. Artistic plating is where that was in
Yeah,
California.
so we're talking about crazy prices. So I'm gonna throw 2 more things at you guys. So a link pin beam with adjusters in it in 1985 cost you how much?
Just the beam.
The beam with a beam, a custom front end with swayway adjusters in it. Just the center beam, no
Just
trailing
the
arms,
beam.
nothing.
Okay. I'm gonna say 139.
I was going to say, I'll bet you it wasn't much more than $100.
You guys, the price for a beam back in 1985, a custom front end with welded in adjusters was $98.50 for the
we
beam.
weren't too far.
Which today, in today's dollars, that is equivalent to $140. Do you know what a beam goes for right now for a link pin adjustable beam?
I'm gonna say 5.
$429.
You didn't give Bob a chance.
Well, yeah, what'd you say, Bob? Go ahead, Bob.
I'd guess $429 if I were you.
Nailed it.
$428.
Well, on sale or off sale? Because
$428.99.
But that's crazy. So if you're looking at that, right, with adjusted for inflation, it was $140 in today's dollars, and now it's
How did we go from a
literally-
$35 tire becoming $140 adjusted to inflation?
the labor rate to put adjusters in a beam is so high, and the tire manufacturing process maybe got a little easier. So I found that interesting. Now,
Well, well, I guess the price you're probably quoting though is also a narrow beam, and then you got to add your narrow torsions.
Well, narrowed beam I would be charging more than that for. You're probably
No, that's just a stock beam.
That's a stock beam they put
with
adjusters in. Yeah.
So now the next question I'm going to ask you. So if you went in, like you got your first check working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bob, and you're going to go cow look your car. George was working at Tony and Pete's Pizza at the time. And
Frankie G's.
And now you've got your bug, and you're going to cow look your bug. So you're going to the store. You're buying the typical. You're buying a steering wheel. You're buying a wink mirror. And you're buying some baby turbos or tornadoes, you pick. What do you think you're spending in real dollars back then to buy a steering wheel, side mirrors, and the wink mirror?
3. I'll say $110.
I would say I'm going to go for $150.
You're saying $150 back in the day.
And Bob's saying 110.
Okay.
I said 30. I said like $30 each for the mirrors, and then $50-$60 for the wheel.
Okay. The steering wheel with adapter, and this is the ones that you now see on the internet.
Formulings.
Formuling France.
Formulings. Oh,
If somebody gets one, they're like $300 for original. It was
Socket.
with adapter, $33.50.
Good guess, Bob. Good guess. You're right
Side mirrors, your choice: baby turbo, baby tornado, $12.50 each, which is $26. Okay, and the wink mirror, 4 or 5 panel, you
there. I think it's
choose.
$25. $12.50.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I threw in an extra dollar just for a tip.
Inflation.
Tip for the guy, because the guy turned the screen around and said, "Hey, that's going to ask you some questions," and then the wink mirror was $17.50. So it cost you $76 to cow look your G Ride.
And I guessed 150. He guessed 110.
So that's 76.
plus your $99 narrow, plus your $99.
No. We were just doing. This was just a Friday payday.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, $500. $500 from the pizza shop, and you're.
Hold on,
Bro, I know I wasn't making $500 in no pizza
But
shop.
hold on, but to top that off, bro. To top that off, let's say you're just customizing this car. You put $100 adjustable beam in the front, and then you went ahead and bought chrome nipple hubcaps. What do you think a set of hubcaps cost back then? Like a hubcap?
Oh, I'll bet you they were. $20 a set of 4.
I'm going to go with 35 for a set of 4.
They were $6 a piece for.
Oh, you
chrome
nailed it then,
hubcaps.
24.
Yeah. So I was looking for Porsche nipple hubcaps. I know they got the hubcaps because the Porsche nipples.
That's what I had.
Put-
That's what I had on after my first bug caught on fire. The second one was a white cow look, and you literally described that car to a T. It didn't have the wink mirror, but it had the tornado mirrors, the bigger ones.
Yeah.
It had the Porsche nipple caps, the lowered beam, like it was just typical
Typical
chrome white cow look, like 67.
That's crazy, bro. What do you think a quiet pack muffler header, the header that bolts onto your J tubes with a muffler cost?
With the quiet pack, I'm going to say $69.
Bobby, it's your turn.
Oh, an exhaust? He's probably close.
Single
$50,
quiet.
maybe single quiet pack, $50. I wouldn't be surprised I think maybe we're high at $50.
40, you are $48.88.
There you
That's
go.
what it costs you. So so back then, in those dollars, back to the cow looking your car on a payday, the steering wheel, the wink mirrors, and the side mirrors. In today's money, that would have cost you $200 to go in and like, that's it, bro. We're going custom, dude. This steering wheel in the trash. Those mirrors, give me a hammer, knock them right off the side of the car. But I thought that was super interesting just to see the difference of prices from back then and now. I mean, obviously everything goes up and down. But what's interesting is some of the parts are actually, the wheels were cheaper today than they were back then in equivalent dollars.
Yeah.
And the The tires were cheaper.
I would say the
but-
tires are probably equivalent.
Yeah.
You know,
What's insane is you look at that, what people are asking for those steering wheels, the Formula France steering wheels. People are literally asking $300 for ones that need to be reconditioned.
That's so silly.
the steering wheels I find aren't too ridiculous. It's when someone has the horn button.
With the VW logo on it.
That's the real. It's not even. Forget about the logo. It's what happens is once they get old, that rubber becomes brittle and it just starts falling apart. Like before they became super popular, like in the throwback era, like when I was redoing the interior of my dune buggy, I was like, I need a better horn button, and I went on the Samba and says I wanted formulating. And some guy had one like NOS, brand new in a package, like sent me one.
Okay.
But now like. They're like that's saying like they're like hen's teeth, like they're really hard. Like there's guys out there now 3D printing them.
Yeah. When I find a whole warehouse full of those horn buttons, dude, that's it for me, bro. I'm hanging it up. I will retire.
Oh.
I'm looking at a wheel on the Samba right now.
T Brothers Tile done,
bro. Shut that place down. I don't need it no more. Look, they've got a rosewood Formula France steering wheel on the Samba right now. It's $375, and the horn button looks like it was eaten by a Rottweiler, dude. Like it's bad. So what's funny is I get another one missing the horn button. This one is for sale. The leather looks okay on it, and the guy's like, "Made in France, Formuling?" ? And he's asking $595 for that freaking steering wheel. So I had one. It happened to be in Future Shock when I got it. And then Steve made me a wheel. He made me the 2-handle wheel, which is super cool looking for showing it. It's a little different to drive with it. And so I gave Bob the Formuling, and I said, here, take this back to the UK. I gave it to Andy, and he's got it back there in the UK. He's painting it that same color as the car, and then
Future Shock?
having it rewrapped. Yeah.
So it's going to go back into Future Shock?
It'll go into Future Shock for driving because it's just too crazy to try to drive that thing with that 2-spoke steering wheel, dude. It's a little
like a yoke like the Teslas have.
Yeah, no, it's a little wild. So
it's like a video game.
But that's what we got. That's what we got going on. So Bob, you're coming out for the show coming up.
Yep, I'll be Thursday, and then you and I are heading out in the double cab. There's also that cruise night in Ontario on that Just Cruising VW club. They put on that thing at Burger Town. So there's that on Friday.
Friday night?
That's Friday night.
Oh, there you go.
I have no problem checking that out.
Because we're actually boogieing back on about 11 o'clock on Saturday morning. We're coming back to Vegas. Like, we need to be back by 6 o'clock. So I don't know if you guys are, but Eric and I are coming back early.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm going to try to go. I'm going to try to do. I mean, if you guys are up for it, I'm going to try to do at least part of the roaster show on Friday, just so I'm not rushed on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then because I want to go, because Saturday is like the main day over there.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can get some of that done on Friday, and then do whatever, and then that way there. If we get the roaster show on after Octo late, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get all that hammered out, but this just concludes the segment of what did it cost? What did it cost back then?
Bill's loving this whole bag.
What is it cost today? This is a funky instrumental. All right, listen, that's enough of that.
Man, you're quite the producer, bro.
Well, listen, bro, I'm a one-man army, and that's what I do. So
that's it.
Another thing that I just wanted to get from you guys. So George has his YouTube channel he's been working on, and I wanted to ask you guys, what YouTube channels do you guys watch? Like, what YouTube channels, and do you watch any VW YouTube channels, or what YouTube channels do you watch mostly that are car related?
I watch Matt Armstrong.
Matt Armstrong, which we saw him at the SEMA show, right?
Yeah, I think I really enjoy his channel.
You're asking the wrong guy. I don't watch YouTube.
Bro, don't you? I see you watching Swatch videos all the time. Don't play like you don't watch YouTube. I see you watching.
Bob obviously watches Top Gear.
I watch YouTube. I literally only watch YouTube when I need to like learn something, like
Pretty much.
I got to replace the shocks in my BMW, so I go on a tutorial, or this broke and I need to look at that. Like that's I never watch like shows.
Yeah. I watch the majority of stuff I watch are mountain bike, Matt Jones, and then car stuff is Matt Armstrong. But there's a few guys that I follow, but those are my two mains, Matt Jones and Matt Armstrong.
Matt Jones and Matt Armstrong. I actually watch. I watch a bunch of stuff to find out about just like local, like financial stuff and economic stuff and things like that, because that's what I'm into. All right, not really, but I watch some of that stuff. But with the car stuff that I love watching, Autotopia LA, I like that show. That's the one where the guy crashed that car.
Yeah, I remember that breaks.
Autotopia LA is one that I watch a bunch, and what's the other one that's on my feed?
I watch a lot of Donut too.
There used to be I can't get through 5 minutes of that Donut, dude.
I like Donut.
I don't even know why.
They got some great stuff on there. Funny.
But yeah, I watch that, and I watch let me see what's on my subscription list. Let's see who I'm subscribed to. But I watch like mostly, and I just found a channel called Jim's Automotive Machine Shop, and it's pretty slick because they do like all these wild, like they're working on this obscure motor and the block is cracked, so like they go through, weld this thing up and do all this extra stuff they got going on.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they just got a bunch of cool stuff. And I watch a little bit of the what's the one called Street Beefs. I watch some street.
That's where they fight on the street, Bob.
My wife's like,
they
what
fight
are
in
you
someone's
watching?
backyard, literally in a chain link fence. And these people like get really hurt, and it's like it's not for a UFC title; it's for street beefs. There's no prize, no nothing.
Yeah, it's
insane.
It's terrible, dude. And then,
well, hopefully everybody's watching The Wagon.
Well, hope so. Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully.
So you guys can watch The Wagon, or you guys can check out.
Trying to keep a good source of tutorials out there for VWs.
Yeah,
get straight to business and let's do this. This is what I do when I'm doing this job.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's lots to watch out there, but car stuff that I watched. There was one, I think it was Dead End Magazine. I think I was watching too. Would do some lowrider stuff, and I catch myself, looking at watching some of these oddball things where the guys just that Mike Frankenvich or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's that dude that walks around a bunch of the car shows and just walks through Pomona Swap Meet and all that stuff. And then there's a VW guy, Mike Effin Garage, and I watch some of his stuff. It just depends, but I'll just cruise through some stuff just to see the usual stuff that I watch. But yeah, that's the stuff that I've been watching. And
I'll tell you what I don't watch it, but apparently a lot of people must. What's that? Randy, the artist Randy, the guy who's an artist, Randy.
Rad
Flack.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah. Randy and 10 Foot Doug or whatever had that channel. And so I bumped into Randy Slack down at, the Florida Bug Jam takes place the same weekend as Bully Brigade, or it used to, whatever. And I bumped into him, and he's just live recording as I'm talking to him. And you know me, I don't like being on stuff. Apparently I was on that channel because I got text messages. Hey, I saw you on that. I saw you on Randy's side. I saw you. And I'm like, oh my God. Like 3, 4, 5 people sent me texts about seeing me on there. So I guess people are watching that channel.
At least 4 or 5 people. I mean, listen, bro, it's Bob from the 80s custom VW. Custom VWs of the 80s and 90s. So listen, it's worth it. So,
hey, back to your wheels. I have a 2010 issue of VW Hot VWs right here.
Okay.
That's when Flat 4 came out with those with the fake Fuchs.
Oh, in 2010.
Now, they did not. That was that era. Around that time is when the Flat 4s came out, and Flat 4s, what the chromes are $229, and that does not include a center cap, which is $32 extra.
Yeah,
and that was in 2010. So they're around the same.
But
price.
even Flat 4s right now have a following.
That's $350. They're $259 because that's what I paid.
Yeah.
When
I changed the wheels in 2010, because that's when I first came out to California, and I was like, oh God, I always wanted Fuchs. And then I came back from California. It was like the first time I was like out there with, doing car stuff. I came back and I bought those flat fours because everybody's like, oh, they're so much better than the MPs, so much better than the MPs. And then, truth be told, I bought an MP for the spare tire just because I was curious to see the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I put a post up on the Samba of pictures, like front and back. And like, I think these things are made in the exact same factory.
Most likely they are.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and actually one of the guys in the UK, I'm wanting to get him on. I can't think of his name. He had he sells a bunch of impy stuff. Off the top of my head, his name escapes me, but they actually manufacture the JGE wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Was the name of his company, and they had a big lawsuit thing, and it's one of the things I wanted to get him on the podcast and talk about, because I thought it was interesting that, you know, in our hobby, there's a bunch of people that get on there.
Undercutters.
Well, not even undercutters. They just get on there to make something that's not available, and then all of a sudden they get sued. So here's a quick trivia question for you guys. Hot VW's magazine, what is the first year? What year is the first time a squareback is on the cover? It doesn't have to be full cover, but a squareback is on the cover.
You need to call Paul Davis now.
No, I'm not calling Paul Davis. I'm talking to you guys. So
1984.
don't quit.
I have no
I'm
idea.
going to say 92.
I would say
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the 70s. I would say maybe 79.
Okay, I'm going to go with 86. I'm going to go with 86.
April 1973. There's a yellow lowered panel side squareback on polished
As
or
old
on
as I am.
8 spokes. Yeah, 1973 is the first year that there was.
Is that possibly May of 73?
It's April, so just before.
Actually, it would have been released.
Technically, yeah, it would have been released that day. So, I thought that was a pretty slick thing that I just came up with off the top of my head, just because that's what I am.
Man,
Just
dude.
crazy producer.
Are you a creator?
Yeah, I create content that you're listening to right now. So, yeah, I appreciate you guys for coming on. So Bob, anything you got coming up? Any features you had that just been published that you want to brag about? Any of that kind of stuff, Bob?
No, I'm not.
Yes, you're a bragger. Just brag now.
The newest issue of Volksworld does have a feature that I shot for Bob Cook, and he's got a turbo split window rag. That's it's a pretty badass car,
Nice.
but that's in there.
Well, yeah, and Cook.
But other than that, no, I haven't. I've been laying low on the magazine stuff for a while.
Well, Cook may be coming out. Bob Cook said he's probably going to be coming out to One Crazy Weekend this year. So let's hope we see him out.
Yeah,
there.
I heard a rumor about that too. So
Awesome.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
it'd be a good time. So, okay, last trivia question for you guys. What year is the year the first Carmen Ghia is on the cover of Hot VWs?
I know it was on like the second or third issue of VW Trends. I don't know. I mean, it's got to be early.
I'm going to go 1970.
I don't know when that magazine started, but
I don't either.
Well, 75 was like, I think 75 is the Cowlook, that first Cowlook issue. So I'll just say 74.
Okay. 1975, January of 1975. There's a red Carmen Ghia that I can't read what it says on the side. Carmen Ghia Memorial Issue is what it says. So it's the now published monthly. Bug-in 13's on the cover, the Super V Engine Basics, and I can't read. It says something Ghia. It's a red Ghia that says old Ghia, something Ghia, but yeah, or the Ghia. Maybe it's just the Ghia. But yeah, that was the first time. So yeah, well, now you guys learn a little something. The first several issues of Hot VWs just has, it says really big on it, Dune Buggies and then Hot VW. So it's Dune Buggies from 1967 up until, geez, it just keeps going up until April of December of 69 is the first time you see a Beetle on the cover. So that's interesting.
I know there's the Ghia on the first on one of the first 4 VW Trends, because the first 4 VW Trends were like published in conjunction with the Auto House catalog.
Yeah, I
remember
actually,
the parts store, the
Yeah.
auto house.
Mm-hmm.
They had like their complete catalog was in with the magazine.
Yeah, I bought that magazine to look at that article, and it's episode number 3 in 1977 has a Carmen Ghia on the cover. It's a green convertible Carmen Ghia on 2-liter alloys. So, yeah, so that's what we're playing. We're done playing with the VW trivia. See if you know. So if some of you guys were able to keep up with that, and I see my 2 favorite covers, which are like back to back. My 2 favorite covers of VW Trends are April and May of 1984. One is at a gas station with a dude with a oval window rag top, and he's got the deck lid open, and there's a helpful girl in a bikini that's next to him in a squatting position, while there's a girl across on the next pump wiping in a bikini, just so happens, wiping down the hood of that car. And then in the next issue, there's a thread here.
This is why we thought women would be attracted to cars.
Right.
It's 100% where we're like, oh,
Bro,
these chicks should be flocking to my car when I build it.
So, and then the next month's issue. So that was one at like a gas station with a like a raspberry oval, and then a yellow and black bug at the gas pumps, and then girls in bikinis helping. And then the next issue, May of 1984, is got a really cute looking blonde girl. She's got her hair feathered just right, and she's helping wipe down the Ghia. And the girl in the back in the bikini, well, the girl in the back, she's in a one piece, so she's a little more modest, but she's hosing down a Baja in a driveway. And then there's another girl in a 2-piece bikini, and she is detailing. It's a popular car. It was a chopped bug that was on the Mahle alloys, and it had funky, crazy graphics on it. It was like a pull-down chop. So
It even had a whale tail on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ooh, a Mulholland?
It was one.
No,
funky.
it's not a Mulholland. It's almost as California as it gets with a whale tail for some reason.
Yeah, bro, it's crazy.
It's got that Steve Beam paint job, like crazy, like really over the top graphic. I mean, it's really a cool car.
Yeah, it's wild.
Speaking of this next week, we have our boy Corno's coming down too.
Oh, Ryan Corno.
Ryan,
Shout out to
nice.
Ryan Corno. We'll be seeing you at the
He's
National
coming
Roadshow
down,
show.
and his son Bryce. Oh,
Yeah.
they're fun. They're fun dudes. I had a good time with them last year.
Well,
I'm looking forward to seeing them.
we're gonna be checking that out. I think if we don't have anything else to cover, George, you want to plug your YouTube channel that people can go check it out?
Go check out The Wagon on YouTube, WAGEN, for good VW air-cooled tutorials.
And then Bobby Boy, you got your Facebook page. You want to remind everybody, if they're not on Facebook, go check out this Facebook page.
Yeah, the Facebook page is custom VWs of the 80s and 90s.
Nice.
Chances are, if you're listening, you're on it.
Right.
There's a lot of people on it now.
No, how many members you got on that page right now?
I think it's like 25 or 26,000.
Dang.
That's a lot of stuff to not be selling some T-shirts, Bob. So get you
Tighten it up, brother. Let's tighten it up.
get you some custom shirts. But I do have to say, on the main cover art of that picture that you have,
Don't even start.
no. You've got my favorite car. One of my favorite cars, Cat's Rag, is one of my.
Oh,
I've been thinking so long and hard, like, dude, if I find a 59 rag top, I may build a tribute car to that. But nonetheless, I got too many irons in the fire already as we go. And
It's just the best photograph. Like,
it is.
in the era of all
It is.
of bikinis, there's this girl modestly dressed, but still super sexy. It's just a great photograph.
Yeah, I just like how she just
Looks
seems
straight.
She just seems completely out of league for the dudes in the back of the picture, and they're just like, "Dang, bro, should we? Hey, Holmes, should we jump her?" So, at any rate, man,
right.
Bob, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for midnight.
Thanks for coming on. Go to bed, East Coaster, and we'll talk to you guys again later.
You probably don't know that there's a new Volkswagen out that doesn't look like a Volkswagen. It's got everything that people who like the bug like.